The next question comes from a listener who says he or she is suffering from procrastination. A procrastinator is somebody that just keeps on avoiding doing what they have to do first and waits just to the last minute to do it, or perhaps never does it. So let's talk a bit today about how to overcome procrastination. Hello, Rabbi Schonbuch. I enjoy watching your video clips on Hidabrut. They're powerful and informative. I wanted to ask you how to deal with chronic procrastination. Ever since I remember myself, I postpone things. Even though I make to-do lists as on my organizers, notepads on my iPhone, I barely get to do a small percentage of my errands and keep pushing them off the next day. Some of my errands remain on my list for months and even years. I'm extremely frustrated. Please advise. Dear listener, there's several possible things that may be affecting you. Some of the things you're pointing to may have to do with the way you perceive yourself and your life, while other things may have to do with something called ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Let's go through the first thing. Many people that suffer from procrastination may be perfectionists, meaning they only want to do something if it's perfect. And since most things in life are not perfect, they avoid doing things at all. They leave things to the last moment. If that's you, I suggest that you work on something called cognitive behavior therapy and start examining what we call thinking traps. A perfectionist basically believes that there's something inherently wrong with themselves. So the only way to overcome such deep feelings of feeling bad about themselves is to be perfect. The problem with that is if you're constantly fighting these feelings of imperfection and being perfect, you're going to avoid doing things because almost everything in life is imperfect. Therefore, it's time to start learning how to accept yourself more in life. This can be done through a lot of self-affirmations, telling yourself that you're a good person, telling yourself that you're good enough, explaining to yourself every day that you're only going to try the best you can, and that's the best you can do. And that, in fact, no one is perfect. It's better to do things imperfectly than to not do them at all. The second thing I want to suggest to you, besides working on your inner messages, is looking at your life differently. I have found that there's two dimensions that people with procrastination suffer with. One is time, and two is space. What do I mean by space? Space means that I have to accomplish things in the physical world. So for example, people have come to me that are accountants or lawyers or teachers that have to present a lot of information to people in documents. And they'll procrastinate to the last minute and almost do them at the last moment just before things are too late. And I told them that that's not a really healthy way to do things because they're trying too hard to fill up space. They're trying too hard to finish something in the world. I want them to shift their orientation more to time, meaning that instead of thinking that you have to finish what you're doing, just spend time doing it every day. So that would mean I'm going to spend 1 hour each day working on this project. I'm not concerned whether I finish it or not. I'm just going to spend some time doing it. I found that very simple shift is very powerful because if you're just focusing on finishing something and you're a perfectionist, you're not going to want to start it. It'll be impossible to finish because it won't be perfect. So tell yourself something else. I don't have to finish this. I just have to work on it. Work on it for 1 hour every day. If you do this, you make that switch, you may find your life much easier and you'll accomplish a lot more. The other area which we need to discuss is ADHD, Attention Deficit and Hyperactivity Disorder. There are some adults that spend their lives undiagnosed with this very difficult disorder. ADHD has two different types. One is inattentive, where people cannot pay attention. That you'll see a lot with teenagers or kids in schools that can't pay attention to their teachers, can't finish their assignments, while other people are called hyperactive, meaning they're constantly moving around, can't sit still. I want you to speak to a competent psychiatrist or psychologist and find out, do you in fact suffer from ADHD? Many people that suffer from ADHD, for example, feel overwhelmed with life and with responsibilities. And many things catch their attention. They can't focus on finishing one thing. If the phone rings, they have to answer the phone call. If there's something interesting to watch, they get pulled into that movie or that show. So they can't finish what they have to finish because they're suffering with something neurologically called ADHD. There's talk therapy for ADHD, while others will try some medication to see if it will work. I'm not suggesting that you take medication. I am suggesting that you visit with a competent psychologist or psychiatrist who could evaluate if you indeed have this problem. Welcome to this new series on Hidabrut called Marriage Matters. My name is Rabbi Schonbuch, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist based in New York and around the world via Skype. On this important series, I will be answering your questions you have about marriage, relationships, dating, parenting, and about any issue dealing with family and relationships. But more than what I have to say, I want to hear what you have to say. So please email to this address and send in your questions, and I'll try to answer as many questions on this new show.